Hey, everybody. Welcome to TPIMSRLIVE. I'm your host, True Power is Mine. Today, we have DRS1 and Judge Joe Brown at the same time, live for you guys. Real quick, I know Judge is short for time. In the news, Judge, Ellen DeGeneres, the super lesbian, has been called out to be a sexual predator. Did you see that one coming from your time spent with her at the network?
Yes, I did. When I lived in Ohio, California, she and her wife used to come out there all the time to shop and hang out, and they were thinking about moving up there. I remember one time she got very forward, came up and got touchy-feely trying to hit on my now ex-wife. Put her hands on her, and that was not cool. I was in her studio. It was the most unpleasant experience I had in the 15 years of the show. They asked me to come on and appear twice to save her lousy ratings so her show wouldn't get canceled. It did anyway. I brought them up, but KNBC4, which at the time was the largest broadcast station in America, was in New York, and they asked me to do them the favor since they carried me right before her. So I was getting 5'8", 5'2", 6'1", 6'3" in the ratings, and she was getting 0.19, 0.27, 0.3 something. So I came on and I raised the ratings up to 1.7 and then 2.4 for 2 consecutive days, and they fell flat again. But when I was down there, she had the temperature in the place at 80 degrees. Everybody was sweating. Some cameraman that sometimes worked my show was telling me how hard it was to work there. And then she came up and snapped at me. What are you doing standing around? Put your robe on. I said, excuse me? I said, it's hot in here. And I haven't even been to drink. Well, get there. I said, I'll go, but are you being funny? I said, hurry up.
Whoa.
So I took my time, put the robe on, had it on. Get unzipped. Zip it up. I said, it's too damn hot in here. So I cussed her out and told my guys we're leaving. So they called WNBC4. They said, please come back. We know she is a real live idiot when it comes to dealing with people one-on-one. She is notorious for grabbing women's boobs or squeezing women on the butt and making just scandalously derogatory statements toward men.
Wow.
She is a real piece of work. And the other thing is, they put her up as a star, but that woman has never had a show that survived for a whole season. They keep canceling them for low ratings, and then they give her another one. One season, she had 3 whole shows, and each of them got canceled. See, they're trying to make something of her. She's not. She killed that sitcom years ago by announcing she was practicing lesbian. And the show went dead. And they started giving her shows, and she had poor ratings for all of these years, and they called her a superstar when if it was anybody else, both the poster child for girl-on-girl pussy eating, they would have canceled it.
Exactly. Would you happen to know?
She is a nasty person to be around, and she's vulgar, and she does have a problem with keeping her hands to herself. I've seen that. So it's patting folk on the ass and everything else, you know, women going by and they didn't feel comfortable with it because she's such a dyke. She just is straight up out there.
She's a bull dyke. She's definitely the masculine strap
on. And her wife isn't a bad looking woman, but they were trying to get my wife up for a threesome.
Oh, she represents the worst of imitation masculinity. She's trying to imitate being an alpha male.
Oh, you can't even imitate it if you don't have a dick. All you can do is heifer in drag, a dyke in drag.
She is the gamma female.
A gamma female, doctor.
Is that the new terminology for it?
Oh. Yes. Well, because it starts with G, like gay, so gamma female. all the way.
Guys,
Look,
damn,
she looks like Bob Denver. Remember? She looks like Gilligan off of Gilligan's Island.
For them. You know,
Yeah,
lesbians. Some lesbians are not all lesbians are bad. I know some that are decent people, but they keep what they do in the bedroom, like everybody else is supposed to keep in the bedroom, not sit out and put it on front stage. You know, unless maybe you're doing a comedy thing in a comedy house.
but there's nothing funny about what she's portraying and the type of decadence that whole LGBT Taste the Rainbow Skittle crowd is pushing on the children. Homosexuals reading books, you know, or the teacher starts off, you know, let's talk about the homosexuals' attributes to American society. And then the kid's like, well, what's a homosexual? And then they go into the whole spill. So what is the solution, Judge? How can average men and women fight back?
Control. They consist of about 6%, 6.5% of the total population. And we need to take control. So what happens is that we have to assert ourselves, and too many people are trying to be politically correct and creating havoc. One of the worst examples is this bait and switch thing they do on society, where so many black folk are in the Black Lives Matter. And when they find out after reading what we believe on the Black Lives Matter site, they say, well, that's bad, that's horrible, but I'm in the concept of Black Lives Matter. Say what I say, black folk matter, black families matter, black fathers matter, black finance matters, BFM. Quit giving support to BLM. If you read their manifesto, the second paragraph from the bottom, start from the bottom, is a takeoff from NAMBLA, North American Man, Boy, Love Association, and it's total pedophilia, talking about there should be no age constraints on the decisions that people can make at whatever age.
Sick. The
next one up is we are a queer affirming network, and then it talks about leadership of our trans brothers and sisters, especially our trans women who have such and such bad problems. They talk about the destruction of the nuclear family, the destruction of cisgender privilege and status, which means straight man. And they go off on some really horrible stuff. And we are pushing that every time we say BLM, it lends support. So they get all of these several $100 million already have gone into them. And the founders, I understand, pay themselves $250,000 a year. There are 4 lesbians, one of whom is an African lesbian. At least she claims that, but she was born here and she's got a white lesbian wife. And they contribute money to what they call Act Blue, which is the Democratic Party fundraising front that is not reported. They disclose all of the money that they have paid to specific clients, and they disclose that the other half of the money goes to LGBTQIA+, as they put it.
Wow.
So Q, by the way, stands for queer. So LGBT queer, let's call it like they call it. And BLM claims to be a queer affirming network, so let's call them BLM queer. And you get the idea of what they're doing. And John Lewis, by the way, just got lauded for all of the extensive contributions he's made to LGBTQ while he was alive. And the fool did absolutely nothing for black folks. Somebody asked me, was I going to tweet something about his? I said, no, I don't want to, because it'll be nasty. And what that would be, he was an embarrassment to black folks for being such a good whipping dog.
Well, if we're going to do John Lewis, I got to tell a story.
Yes, doctor.
Oh, my God. Either 33 or 28 years ago. I'm trying to think if it was 1987 or was it 1992. I was working with a friend of mine who lives in Oakland, California, by the name of Eric Shanks, and my running buddy from high school, whose name is Cecil Rico Tucker. And we went to John Lewis's office. We went all over the Capitol Hill to talk to people at CBC when we were young and stupid and didn't know that they were useless to us. And we went to John Lewis's office, And he must have had a person that worked at his front desk as a spotter, because Eric is about 6'1.5", and Cecil's about 6'1.5". Both guys, nice guys. Both of them were professional models. I went too. Man, the people almost had a stroke in the receiving area of his office. They ran in to get John Lewis to come out and look at us. If you've ever seen the Beverly Hillbillies when Granny is mad and steam comes under the door because Granny's so angry,
Yes.
John Lewis must have said steam. He put his shit down to come out and meet us. And let me tell you, it was so funny. John Lewis said, "Oh my, these are y'all young preachers. Where's your church? Would y'all like some peanuts?" And he was looking so hard at Eric's groin. Eric screamed, "No, no, no! I don't want any peanuts. I have a nut allergy." And he said, "Would y'all like some Coca-Cola? It's cold." And my friend says, "Well, I'm on a diet and Coca-Cola are bad for you." And I says, "I'll take some peanuts if they're in the bag." And Eric says, "Ray, don't get so many." And he said, put those back. And then Eric proceeded to say, "Randy, where did those sodas come from?" I said, "From the refrigerator." He says, "Well, but who put them in there?" I says, "Obviously they didn't walk in." He says, "Don't get any soda." I mean, this dude was up. And as John Lewis says, "Well, y'all can meet with me right now." And Eric says, "Unfortunately, my associate, Mr. Short, he decided not to wear a suit today. And we respect you too much. We won't be able to meet. We'll come back." And so they used the excuse of me not having a suit because he didn't want to be in the same room as John Lewis. And as we left, he says, "Randy, don't walk so fast. They're looking at our ass." This actually happened. And says, "You need to take those peanuts back. I don't want nobody trying to fuck me over." And it says, no, just leave. We might lose you." We never went back to John Lewis's office. I hadn't thought about this in years because, I want to make it clear. I was just talking to Cynthia McKinney about 45 minutes ago, maybe an hour. And I was like, Cynthia, on a certain level, John Lewis is a very personable person on a certain level. I don't buy the philosophy that somebody can beat up on me. I can't handle it. I'm not even a tough guy. But if you hit me even once, I'm probably not going to like you for the rest of my life. So I can't see somebody that beat me. And then, I remember the first time I saw, when I was about maybe 6 or 7 years old, the Edmund Pettus Bridge beating. I was so appalled at the black folks being beaten by white folks and taking it. I had an attitude towards Dr. King for years because where I grew up, if you let people spit on you, I'm going to have to take a picture, Judge. I have dents in my head from being hit in the head with rocks by white kids. Okay? And I learned they're not going to stop hitting me in the head no matter how much I bleed, no matter how much I plead, no matter how nice my parents, how much we love God or love. They really are mean people who hate your guts. And the only way to stop the rocks from flying is to throw them better, faster, and harder. And then the rocks stop flying. Okay, same story I tell people. The kids were taught that it was okay to piss on black people. And I got peed on 2 days in a row back in 1971. And, on the third day, by the way, on the second day, I drank water all day and all night, and I held it until the third day of school. And I peed on everybody I could. And of course, the principal, my mother was called to school and they wanted to suspend me but what was interesting, when the kids peed on me and I went to the teacher to tell her, "Hey, look, they won't stop." The lady said, "You have poor hygiene." your mother needs to teach you better.
What?
And my God, that's why I don't like feminism, okay? That's why I can't stand feminism. So so she was on the side of the kids pissing on me as well because I'm black, they're white.
Right.
Well, I pissed on them. They were ready to try to suspend me from school at that age. And my mother got to school, and my mother asked, they once said, what kind of home are you? My mother says, well, I mean, I've never known my son to pee on anyone. Well, let's ask him. Why'd you pee on him? And I looked at the teacher and said, it's because she's been letting him pee on me for 2 days.
Wow.
So I thought, well, peeing on people was okay. So I peed back. And the principal looked at the teacher. My mother looked at the teacher. Is it true that my child was urinated on? They went to you and you basically defended the people that peed on him. And the teacher had to put her head down. And the principal said, this is the kind of thing that could get you fired. Let's all forget that this happened.
Wow.
And the teacher had to meet with the class, and she had to tell the white kids not to pee on people because they might pee back.
Wow.
Not that it was wrong. Not that it's nasty. Not that you don't treat people the opposite of how you get treated, but you might get what you put out. And ultimately, she would be held accountable as the adult.
Right.
Now, that's what I learned as a 5, 6-year-old. And what John Lewis and them are teaching and what they want us to remember from John Lewis would have been for me to let them piss on me until I ceased attending that school. And thank them for pissing on me.
There it is.
Thanks
what John Lewis is? John Lewis was a masochist who liked rough treatment.
A sadomasochist. A sadomasochist. And John Lewis is a closet queen. And I'll tell you this, and I stand on it.
Hold on a second. He is not only he's not a closet. He is a queen. And what is going on is a masochist who likes rough. I bet you he had orgasm when he was down on his knees, get beat across his
I agree with you 100%. I agree with you 100%, Judge, and I'll go further. There is a journalist who passed a few years ago who used to write for Black Agenda Reports. You may remember that periodical. Bruce Dixon. 2 friends of mine in Atlanta have died in the last few years. And my last conversation with both of them was John Lewis. I had a conversation with Bruce Dixon just before he died, maybe 2 months before he died. And he explained to me that John Lewis was going to come out of the closet after his wife, Lillian Miles Lewis, died in 2012. And a whole bunch of Boule citizen pastors and civil rights activists, especially in the Southern Christian Leadership Conference, hint, coons, wax my lips, coon, the Southern Christian Leadership Conference, begged John Lewis to please stay in the closet because if he came out, he would expose a whole bunch of other prominent Black activists and civil rights leaders as working for the gay cause and not the Black cause. Oh, yes. And by the way, I can't say who in the SCLC is in the closet, but I will say that John Lewis was the best man at the wedding for Bernard Lafayette back in 1960. I didn't say he did anything, but they were getting beat together. And they stayed friends all these years. And Bernard Lafayette, it was horrible towards women. Okay. I get that from his ex-wife. So this is real talk, my auntie. So John Lewis, and then C.T. Vivian. The last conversation I had with the Reverend Dr. C.T. Vivian, I was explaining to him what John Lewis was doing with this Every Child Deserves a Loving Home and the Equality Act. And Reverend C.T. Vivian, with advanced stages of dementia and Alzheimer's, was so angry with John Lewis, he begged me to send him the stuff so he could go after John. And I don't know, Judge, if you get sick and you're not at your best, I can assure you I won't call you and bother you with some stuff, because I respected and loved Reverend Vivian, a straight shooter all the way. I never gave him the information because I thought it was unfair. It would be cruel and hurtful for me to treat an elder like that. But that the last time I talked to CT Vivian, he was so angry with John Lewis, he was swearing. I said, "Oh God!" His family would come after me and say, "Why you set him off like this?" I have to say, "No, it's okay, Reverend Vivian. We're gonna take care of it. It's gonna work out." And I told him, Reverend Vivian, he's not gonna live another year anyway. But I was right. He don't got another year anyhow. Leave him alone. And
look here. Let me say something else that's a travesty since we're talking about this. Byard Rustin, who messed up so much about the whole movement because of the compromises he caused his open homosexuality, got caught in the backseat of one of those old, large Detroit vehicles back when in California with two white guys, and he was
three underage young
Wait
white
a minute.
men.
Wait, let me finish. Hold on. Let me finish. Byard Rustin was getting butt busted by one of the white boys and sucking the penis of the other one. And he got arrested for open and notorious public lewdness in California. So now the gay group, LGBT queer, is pushing for the governor to pardon him posthumously. Hell no, because all of the young black folks that were normal, that got busted and got the same charges on their record, was screwing in the backseat of a car. What about them?
Right.
That's right.
And all of these folks, look, let me tell you something. I'm a boomer, but I was only 10 years old when all this stuff was really hitting it in the mid-50s. Now, the generation before them and the generation before that included my parents, had a lot of people that fought in World War II and Korea. And they said it out loud, they'd be damned if they would be down on their knees letting the redneck beat them after they'd been in war, killing and getting killed. And they also said they didn't like the whole thing because it was too much of these strange queer folk they used to put it. So that whole gay thing infiltrated, and from top to bottom, it was influencing what was happening. And John Lewis was some young butt meat when he got involved. He was a masochist. He liked it. And everybody got their rocks off butt while all this was going on. So know the truth about it. You want to pick up from somebody that's pushing upon you as somebody that ought to be your hero. Now, I got to go.
Well, thank you,
Gotta
Judge.
make it to a bank.
Thank you, Judge.
All right, gentlemen.
Thank you, Judge.
Carry on.
Tell the truth, shame the devil. Shame on all the folks running after John Lewis. Shame on you.
Yeah.
All righty.
And Mrs. King's running against him, not related to the King family. That's a married name. She's on the Republican side, but she's a good sister. She did some time in the federal system for being part of a car theft ring, but she got pardoned. So she's back out doing what she's doing, and she's got good ideas.
Yeah.
So she's running to take his seat, and I hope she gets it so we can get some Republicans in there.
Well,
I don't like Republicans, but we need them in there so they don't have any further attacks on the First Amendment, and none on no more than can be expected on the Second Amendment.
Well, do you think that President Trump will actually suspend the election?
That might happen, but it's not something that has not happened before. But I think that's just talk. See, he's a businessman. And like if you've ever gone down to Tijuana, Mexico, across the border, when you go to these flea markets they have, if you want to buy something, say a leather belt or jacket, you offer the guy something, lowball him, and then he comes back with something high, and then you meet in the middle. So he's doing the same thing. He's throwing out a bidding point or a bargaining point. It's not necessarily where it's going to wind up. But anyway, man, I got to go.
All right, Judge. Thank you, brother.
Okay.
All right. Bye.
Yeah.
All right, Doctor.
Yeah, Dan.
So what about you? What's your opinion? Do you think that President Trump would suspend the election? And if so, what would be the benefit?
Well, think of it this way. Remember just a few months ago, people were complaining that there wasn't enough money being sent to the post office.
Right.
Postal people not receiving. Well, if that's true, that the Postal Service has been underfunded and is out of money, wouldn't that be the worst place to send ballots if there's not sufficient money to pay the staff? Let's say everything in a perfect world, everything was legit, except everything's legit, except, I repeat, we lack the Postal Service capacity to do the work. Is it right then to try to still have an election if our Postal Service is lacking?
Wow.
Is it?
No, it's not.
Do I sound like some? Okay. The other thing is, hating the president. I'm so sick of this. You know, I don't know another country in the world that is at peace where you get to hate the head of state like we do here. Even when he does something positive, like he's trying to regulate the pharmaceutical industry so people can get treated, forcing companies to manufacture. Do you know most of American antibiotics and things are manufactured by these Chinese? We're at risk. These people poison everything. There are all kinds of dangerous things in your aspirin. You know, I had a gout attack. I've been taking aspirin, probably made in China. And my foot almost feels like I'm Jesus with the Roman soldiers putting the spike through it. All this poison aspirin that I've been taking. The basic pharmaceuticals are no longer made in America. And Trump is the only person that's fought to bring it back. This is something else. Trump was trying to keep people off the airplanes and keep people away from China. Remember, everyone attacked him and called him racist?
Yeah.
And yet, one of the big banking houses on Wall Street had a $1.5 million bet that the economy would collapse in order to get $100 billion payoff, right?
Wow.
Are you understanding me? How can we blame Donald Trump, okay, for the spread? Because wasn't Fauci the one saying that people didn't need to cover their mouths? Wasn't he the one? Huh?
In the beginning, yes.
Now all of a sudden, he's a monster. I don't get it. I don't get it, brother.
Well, don't forget, Fauci's just like DeGeneres.
Let me just say, so every time Trump does do something, when he was trying to protect the country from the coronavirus, they attacked him as a racist. Hey, how you doing? When he talks about hydroxychloroquine, which works, and I'm using it. I'm walking around the mall right now in Bowling Green, Kentucky. And I've been on several air flights. And I go out and I live like an ordinary person without fear. Okay? I want to just say something to you. Herman Cain was more than likely the victim of race medicine assassination.
There it is.
Had he had the access to hydroxychloroquine, there's a good chance he would have survived. I just got off the phone with one of his mentees, who's a close friend of mine. So that was someone I was going to hook up with for stuff that you and I talk about, true power. And now he's dead.
Right.
Okay. And I tell you, what most people won't tell anybody is that Herman Cain started demanding that Black voices for Trump ask for reparations, demand reparations. Did you know that? That was a position that Herman Cain had adopted back in just May, before going to Tulsa, that they would fight for reparations.
And now he's dead.
Are you hearing me? Reparation. He starts pushing for it, and now he's dead.
Like you
and
said.
Dead from something that could be treated with hydroxychloroquine. There's this other lady. By the way, just so you'll know, and I'll repeat it, There's some Doctors for Truth and others that I'm associated with. We've been fighting to save, in particular, Black people's lives.
Correct.
Because hydroxychloroquine is effective and it's inexpensive. And we've been fighting against Black church. We've been fighting against practically everybody. Hold on 1 second. Hold on 1 second.
That's fine. You know, I wanted to...
Excuse me, miss. Someone left their wallet on top of this counter over there. I don't want to touch it. It's not mine. Don't. Okay. No, the black one. You sure? Oh my God. What if somebody's wallet? Oh, okay. All right. I'm sorry. I mean, I'm the kind of person that drops wallets. I hate for someone to go somewhere with my wallet.
Exactly.
But anyway, let me go back and say to you, if Trump suspends the election, how is that different from Bush stealing it? And in fact, he suspended the election. Really, do you really think that Biden is going to win in the first damn place?
I hope not,
Really?
but I don't really, you know, the way.
Come on. Come on. You know he's losing. He doesn't even want to do a debate. Joe Biden couldn't debate a sex doll. Come on. He couldn't. No.
Well, we know
Trump
one group that's behind him, and that's the homosexual community.
Well, and of course they're behind. And actually, he's behind them too. He's behind them too. All right. So, look. Ask yourself: with everything closed and suspended, should people contract the coronavirus trying to vote?
Wow.
Should they?
Well,
is that right? Is that fair?
No, it's not.
So why are we trying to rope this man in? Why are we doing this to him? Why? Why, if we're afraid to go out of our homes for the disease, you know, for voting, you got to touch the voting machines, you got to do this, you've got to do that.
Touch the stymies.
You know, I'm a poll worker in Washington. Do you know we had to do special training to make certain that people don't get diseased? This is something that people understand happens.
People in
Are
their
you
coffin.
understanding me?
Yeah, I see it. It would be a great avenue for infection rates to go skyrocketing a few weeks after the election.
And you know what would happen? They would blame him for the infection.
Well, I'm just saying, and I've said it before on the show, no one's calling this what it really is. It's a biological attack on the world by China. You know, it came out for a reason at a pivotal time. What just happened? Well, he beat the trumped up charges of impeachment. And then right after that, bam, Corona hits. So, you know, we have to realize we're going to war with China. There is no turning back. And I just pray that that those who hear the show, those who hear this message, actually prepare now while you have access to resources. Because it's going to get rough.
The problem. We need to wake up and understand that we probably will have a war with China. And they want it more than we do. And they've been killing a lot more of Americans already with, frankly, with the fentanyl and with the tilapia. You know, I think I've been eating Chinese fish. It's just messed my health all up. I mean, now if it doesn't say made in America, you know, the only thing I look down on American-made cars. Everything else we should try to work with.
Well, you can thank good old Ronald Reagan for the American-made cars, because it was the 80s when they came up with the concept of basically recyclable cars. We'll make cheap-ass cars. People will drive them for 4 or 5 years and that to come back and get another. So they made that built-in obsolescence and it's been horrible ever since. So now we heard about we talked about Ellen DeGeneres and how
okay,
basically,
but she looks like Gilligan. Gilligan Solomon. She really is. I mean, hard looking, macho looking broad. I mean, there's just really nothing that we can really say that's, it's just so sad. It's so ugly. She's ugly, and the people that watch the show are probably ugly too. Remember how she did Tim Burrell for asking people to be true to their own faith, and they tried to destroy the career of Kim Burrell?
Wow.
Remember that?
I never.
Remember?
No, I never really caught up or watched her show.
Okay,
I mean,
well, no, it's not that I watched the show, but Ellen told her she wasn't welcome. And the thing that was so awful about that was that there's a little teeny tiny drag queen who came forward to say, "Hey, y'all treated Miss Burrell terribly. I came to her church dressed like a woman, flaming, and she just loved me and took me in like a son. And she's not a hateful person. She's not this wicked, homophobic lady that you're trying to make her out to be." And you know what? They basically didn't want to hear. They wanted it. See, they need this hatred, this idea of, I think a man nutting in another man's mouth in the bathroom is disgusting. That I'm some kind of Nazi. I'm a Nazi for thinking, what if I have a little child with me? I have to try to explain to them what these guys are doing in these stalls, right?
Right.
What made me a monster? And why can't you do that at home? They're the ones with all the condos when they kick us out of everywhere, right? We're going to keep getting evicted and thrown out. And
well, it's easier. It's statistically easier for them to get apartments because they typically don't have children. They typically don't have extras. So it's just them and their partner, or just them. So they have more money by default. Children cost a lot of money. Having an actual relationship,
I think that you've been an expert on that.
Oh, yes. Oh, yes. They suck up some cash. Now, the thing about it is, we're dealing with a situation where they co-opted basically the political solution to our problem, using Black Lives Matters and other civil rights entities and organizations. So therefore, Doctor,
Lives matter.
Right. Yeah. Well, what is how can we take back our political solution? How can we fight back?
Well, I don't think it's a political solution anymore. This is moral. This is between right and wrong, Satan and God. Real simple. Okay. When Ellen DeGeneres can treat people worse than Charlie Rose or Bill Cosby or anyone else, and they're going to let her off, all she has to do is say she's sorry.
Something's wrong. Something's wrong.
Munch all do whatever you want. We forgive you. We want you to stay on. Okay. Just told you. These people are fake.
So
they told you she's fake. They told you she's fake. They told you she's fake.
Who is her mentor? Who is the person that put Ellen DeGeneres on when she was a nobody? Because I think that is the root of that issue. You find out who's the person that put her on, look at who else they put on, then you can really see, I guess, the vampire king or lord.
Mm-hmm.
Because she is just a problem, not the root.
All I can tell you is that you and I both know, I think Oprah Winfrey was one of those people that helped her career. Oprah.
Powering off.
I can see Oprah doing some stuff like that.
Yeah, well, Dr. Phil, and it's interesting. They kicked Oprah off of television, and they put this thing on there.
What, isn't Judge Judy still trolling around?
Well, you know what? Judge Judy, stone as a bone. And I'll tell you, she has more value than Ellen. Every day, any day, always, for all times. Judge Judy, at least now and then, stands for something. What does Ellen stand for?
Just, typical lobster stuff.
Mm-hmm.
She don't really stand for nothing. Not that I've
That's
seen.
my point. And so, I really, really don't have any regard for these people. They don't care about us, man.
No, they don't.
And I just think it's time for us to be honest and embrace that we don't need these people. We don't need a lot of folks. Time to move on. But what I will say to you is it's not just Ellen. If you've been watching the news, there's been one place after the other that's had these people come out and tell the truth about how mean and abusive a lot of these people are in these places of work, how nasty, how condescending, how harsh.
Mm.
You know what I'm saying? And people, they get a break because, let's be honest, the white females, and they're being protected in the wrong. The most pampered and entitled population of the country is female and white. And it's not held accountable the same way we don't hold black women accountable. But black women do get dogged way more than any other group of women in the country. Although they get dogged less in certain ways than black men do. And then the abusive black men, the idiot, jackass black men catch up the slack and being cruel to our sisters. Let me ask you a question, because I want to ask you about Obama and his shenanigans at the funeral. I mean, a former president denouncing another president on a televised broadcast? I mean, are you kidding me?
It was provocative.
How dare him do that? Jimmy Carter never did it to Nixon. Bill Clinton never did it to
Reagan.
To Bush. Bush didn't do it to Clinton. Reagan didn't do it to Carter. Johnson didn't do it to Kennedy. Eisenhower didn't do it to Truman. Right?
Right.
Where does Bill get off with this? I mean, it's inappropriate. It's a very dangerous thing to get presidents and generals and people attacking the government. You can't do things like that.
Well, you heard about that group that came together, and they're already talking about if Trump tries to stop the election or not accept the election results, they're going to jump into action. Wow,
they've already jumped into action. They've been trying to steal the election. They tried to steal it the last time. Look, I'm in Kentucky. Do you think these people are voting for Biden? Do you?
No.
When I'm in Tennessee, they're voting for Trump. You think Biden's going to? Okay, in Mississippi, Georgia, Florida, hell, most of the country. It's just the crazy ass people in the cities that are baptized every day in lies from CNN and national prompter radio that are lied to so badly. And so these people, they'll be for anything. Look, Donald Trump could hand out $1 million checks to people and folks would attack him for it. He's not always wrong. He's often wrong, but not always. And when he's right, you don't hear about it. So what I just told you, that Trump is fighting to make certain that they can go after lawmakers and others. So if they're profiteering off drugs, it has to be reported to begin to have a database to go after people. If you saw the fact that Trump people negotiated with Kodak to begin to make pharmaceuticals in America, that's jobs, that's opportunity. And a bombed out place like Rochester, New York. How come Obama never did that? How come Bush didn't do it? How come Clinton didn't do it? How come Reagan didn't do it? How come both Bushes didn't do it? Right?
Right.
Ask yourself. So why is he such a monster? And the other thing I want to say, and it's not to defend him, I'm not saying he's a saint. I'm trying to say to you, John Lewis, what did John Lewis ever do for black people? You go to his 5th congressional district in Atlanta, there's nothing. There's nothing. Nothing.
Yeah, I saw even his little memorials seem kind of light as far as the
What
crowd was.
memorial?
Well,
that
the one at the church, there was like whole half of it.
That was like a sodomite toga party with someone that had one orgy too many.
See, this is what I'm saying. Nobody knew this. You know, when you're going to school and you're learning about Martin Luther King and all that, you don't hear about that Sonny guy. You know, the who Judge Joe was talking about.
What about the people that got killed? I know folks who know people who were murdered. I know folks who went to jail, like Larry Pinkney, 10 years. The Panthers murdered, slaughtered, jailed. There were quite a few Panthers and people in the American Indian movement that were killed.
Wow. You know, Chatter just said, Brother Al, you can't buy a box of bullets in the dirty South for the Trump supporter stockpile. If you find 9mm ammo, it's $50, which is normally should be anywhere from 19 to 20, no higher than $25, and that's for a box of 100 of them. But
I'm moving that over there. Yeah, that's what I am. Hello. Okay, now, True Power. Have a question to ask you.
Yes.
I'm dealing with the medical challenge for my sister here. So it's going to make it awkward. But we need to pick this back up and this more. I want to be able to talk without this damn mask on. It's real annoying. And if we can get to, I've called you, but you're not easy to catch. I don't know what it is. Not pick up your phone. I don't know. It's probably fighting off all the new prospects. But absolutely, let's reconnect later today so you can have a full attention and you can have a better program. And I'd be so happy with that.
All right. That sounds good, Doctor.
All right. I'll see you then.
All right. Thanks.
Bye-bye.
All right, yeah. Now that was this impromptu. Called up doctor and then I called up judge and we just kind of did the thing. Wasn't scheduled, wasn't planned. And I see the trolls have been coming into the chat room. Not tolerating trolls. I'm telling you straight up. This ain't a place for your activities. If you don't like what we're doing, you don't like what we're talking about, there's the door. You're always willing to go. But this here is raw. This here is uncut. This here is that straight dose of truth. If you want a mainline truth, TPIMSRLIVE, baby. That's where it's at. I want to thank you all for joining me today. This will include TPIMSRLIVE. I'm your host. True power is mine. I ask you to live your life with integrity without hate, envy, or greed. And as always, brothers and sisters, please, 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 let's try to be kinder to each other. Peace and power, unity and victory, dignity and respect, liberation. I'm out.